Okay, I have to be honest with you guys. I actually picked up volume 74 to start this video. Read about half of it, then had to put it down because some things were going on. Came back a few days later. Couldn't really remember it, so I just started from the beginning in one sitting. At first I thought this volume was slow, but then by the end of it, Oda, you've done it again. Let's talk about One Piece. So I think this volume 74 is kind of like three parts. You got the Coliseum stuff, you got Doflimingo kind of in the background trying to move pieces or watching his plans really fall apart. And Ussopp, Luffy, and everyone kind of going after Sugar, taking down the Toyland and trying to get all the toys back to life. And the Coliseum stuff, which is in the beginning, and I think this is why I thought it was slow. I'm trying to think about it and trying to really think like, these volumes have been killer after killer after killer after killer. Why did this one kind of slow down? And I think this volume was setting up all the pieces for that end payoff that happens. So obviously we have the Coliseum stuff with Rebecca, Cavendish, and Lucy. You know, Lucy. It's Sabo. It has not been said that it is Sabo. He literally says, "Watch me ace." It's a great moment. We haven't really seen him do his thing yet, right? But man, I am so hyped to see Sabo again. I cannot wait. And another one of the Coliseum parts that was really good was Rebecca wins her block because Cavendish has Hakaba in him, which basically has to fall asleep and he becomes this insane swordsman. They even say he has skill, but this spirit that lives inside of him has double the skill. And that, oh, it was so good. Like he just falls asleep and Rebecca wins because she like gets hit in the head. That was a really great part. But the main point of this volume that I feel like are the 2 points that really hit me hard, like incredibly hard, shockingly hard, actually, for how this volume did not grab me, honestly, most of the time through. But the payoff with Soldier, Rebecca, Scarlet, the Riku Dynasty, and Kyros. What One Piece doesn't get enough credit for because we know it's an action manga. But the character depth and the way Oda makes you care about a one-legged soldier is incredible. Not only that, to give him a backstory. He has literally given this toy soldier this backstory where we knew he was Rebecca's father, but to go into his past and to see that he was like a murderer that won 3,000 battles in 9 years. He was one of the ones that won his freedom, but he kept staying there because he's like, this is what I am. I'm a caged animal. And like not even wanting to touch Rebecca when she was born because, oh, you don't want me to touch it with my filthy hands. And the idea that has been kind of seeded throughout the beginning of this arc, but what really drove it home was when these people are turned into toys. Everyone forgets about them, but they don't forget. And the idea that he sacrificed his own leg to try to save the king, and the king, now given the age difference, we're not going to talk about the age difference between Scarlet and Kyros. A little odd. But I cared so much about his story. I was so interested to see all of it. And especially when he's fighting Lao Ji and basically saying like toys are meant to be broken. That's what it says in one of the flashbacks. Like he's going to rust when he's training Rebecca, and toys are meant to be broken after they're done being played with by a child. I don't know. It's hard for me to put into words what I felt with his story specifically. And I just really loved the concept and the way Oda played with the idea of forgetfulness. And he really, really shows that towards the end when all of the Titanians are starting to be turned into toys. Nico Robin is turned into toys. And actually they start fighting each other. Because they've forgotten just seconds ago that their comrades were... Then they were turned into toys and then they started battling and all the toys remembered and like, why are you doing this? I don't know, I just think that payoff is so incredible. It was so well done. And the setup for the story, again, a lot of pieces were being put in play, but I think he nailed it, knocked it out of the park with the idea of Sugar and her power, and really the destruction she can cause with that power. And I don't think you can find a better example besides Kyros being the soldier with Rebecca and Scarlet and King Riku. It was amazing. And the other part that really sold me on this volume and said, you know what? I might not have loved every minute of it, but this volume might have one of, if not the best. The Luffy Ussopp fight is still absolutely top tier Ussopp moments. But Uso Land and the Titanians chanting Uso Land and the idea that he was like, no, you don't want me to go because this battle will help your confidence. So he doesn't want the pressure and he doesn't want to save them. And then it slowly starts cutting to people, and Nico Robin's like, this is up to you, Usopp. Frankie's like, this is up to you, Usopp. The Titanians are like, Uso Land will save us. And they're gullible people, again, that's kind of their running gag. But to play that emotion off of Usopp, where he's running, he's trying to find an escape, and he hears this, and he literally jumps up, and he hears this where they're like, Uso Land. And he's trying to run away. And it just keeps playing and playing and playing in his mind. And he's listening to these people just cry out for him. And again, it's Usopp. He doesn't want the responsibility of being the savior. He wants the, praise. Obviously. That's what Usopp does. But he doesn't want to carry that weight that everyone is depending on him. Now everyone is definitely depending on him. And when he steps up and he says, I'm Usopp, I'm a pirate, I've been lying to you this whole time. And this is another point that Oda is playing with when we first met him being a liar. And he steps up and he says, I'm a pirate, I'm Usopp. And even Sugar and them were like, you really came here to be like, I lied to you guys. You showed yourself just to tell them that you lied to them? And he's like, yeah, because they would have waited for me forever. But he does say, might as well go out cool. Hey, I might as well go out cool if I'm going to go out. He said, resurrect a statue of me if I don't make it out of here. Obviously, Usopp doesn't get as much love, I think, that Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, a lot of people do. But when his moments come, and this was definitely one of his top moments, he always delivers, in my opinion, and this is no exception. This makes you feel for the guy so much. Because he doesn't want to do it, but he still has that heart. Still shows you Usopp has one of the best hearts on the Straw Hats. Again, he gets tied up, and he's knocked out, and Sugar shoves the very hot thing that they wanted her to eat to make her pass out. So he didn't do a great job, but he was there and he showed up. That's what's important. And then the volume ends with Usopp. I don't really know what happened there. I think they scared each other, and the images, the way it was drawn, was very odd. But they scared each other, and then it's like, I'll see you in volume 75. But like I said, if I'm going to be honest with you guys, and if we're going to go on this journey together through One Piece, which we have been doing for 74 volumes now, I feel like I can be honest with you. It's like Doflimingo, and I've said this in the last video. They're playing chess, and this definitely felt like a volume that the pieces were moving and things were happening. But it definitely felt like a middle part of an arc where this was setting something up, and I have high hopes for volume 75. But it's Oda, and we know Oda. He still delivered on some great moments. Like I said, Cavendish's moments was great. Usopp's moment was amazing. And Kyros and that reveal of kind of who he was. We knew he was Rebecca's father, but to reveal that was the father. Again, let me reiterate. 3,000 wins in the Coliseum. Nobody could beat him. They were like, underwater battle with fishermen? Beat him. This, beat him. People were coming up, beat him. And his whole backstory was amazing. But overall, I just feel like this volume is setting something up, and I cannot wait to see the payoff. So please don't hate me and continue watching the video. Don't click off. Don't be like, but this guy, like I said, I did not hate it. It just felt like this was the volume where all the pieces move. And now we're about to see the repercussions of all the actions that have taken place in this volume. So yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's see how this game plays out. And let's get to volume 75. Oh, man. This is what I'm talking about. See, I knew volume 74 was setting up some stuff. And man, this volume 75, Sabo's back. And not only that, we'll get to it. This was the payoff volume I needed to make volume 74 a little bit better, in my opinion. They work so well together. Because now, it's on now. It's on now. So good. But before we talk about volume 75, I have a confession. I have a confession to make. Cue the sad music. I've done something. No. What I did was I had to. I watched a clip of Pika's voice. I had to. Even in the manga. It's like, such a big guy. His voice? A little high. A little high for his physique. So yeah, it was like a minute clip of him talking to Doflimingo. It's... Technically, I've watched more of the One Piece anime, so... Getting closer to actually watching the whole thing. But yeah, because they even mention it in the manga that he does have a high voice. So I had to definitely check out a clip, and it did not let me down. It was fantastic. Plus, a lot of the reviews I do, a lot of you guys comment and talk about how they actually switch voices. Like when the Straw Hats switch bodies, they actually switch the voice actors. So I do feel like I'm missing so much from watching the anime. But one thing at a time. We finish the manga, then we watch the anime. That is how it's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, in full transparency, we're on this journey together. You are coming with me as I read through One Piece. So yeah, I did watch a clip of the anime. Don't throw me in jail. Okay, it starts off incredible because we finished the last volume with Ussopp saving everybody, and now they call him God Ussopp, and the joke with that is so good throughout the entire volume because when Doflimingo does the birdcage and they all get stars, it's like, you know, Zoro has 2 stars, Rebecca has like 1 star, Luffy and Law have 3 stars. And Doflamingo's like, the one that gets all my rage, God Ussopp, who it's like worth 600 million berries. Because even Usopp's like, he's forgotten about me. Perfect. Nope. He's got the highest bounty. That running joke through this volume, Ussopp just keeps getting better and better and better in this little arc that they have him going on. God Ussopp, excuse me. Show some respect for the man. He saved everybody. God Ussopp. And another thing I really liked before we get into the 2 big things that I loved. Sabo. Sabo's back. We'll get to it, I promise. I'm so excited to talk about it because it blew me away. With all the toys coming back to life, the way Oda structured, like, all the memories coming back to everybody, and it really does show kind of what these toys have been going through. Like, I've touched on it a little bit here and there, but this really drove it home that all these toys did have their memories, and their loved ones did not remember them at all. And kind of the emotional weight of that was paid off with this volume, with Rebecca remembering her father, who is incredible. Kyros is an incredible character. I really, really like him a lot. He is a man that does not play around, and I appreciate that. But the emotional weight of all of these memories getting flooded back was just such a great scene. It was almost an entire chapter in the manga, and it was just so well done that I have to bring it up. Because I know once I start talking about these other 2 things, it's not going to be like it normally is, where I kind of go over the volume bit by bit by bit, because honestly it's the 2 things that this revolved around, which was Sabo. Sabo's back. I don't know if I've said that 2,000 times in this video. So Sabo. Maybe you remember him? Sabo, Ace, Luffy, Sabo, brothers. And then the Law and Doflimingo connection at the very end. Man, I've always said, if they do not have it out it's a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity. Those characters belong to be at odds with each other. And it looks like the next volume's going to go into their backstory, which is so exciting. But yeah, let's talk about Sabo, man. Oh! So he grabs the flame fruit and takes a bite of it. And he gets Ace's powers. I did not expect to have such an emotional gut punch when he actually got his powers. And he even said, Ace, I gotta steal your move for a second. And he did the Fire Fist move. Goosebumps. I did not expect to have such a absolute reaction to that moment. It is so good. And not only that, it just feels so good to have him back. Which is weird because he's kind of like Ace. He's a character that hasn't been around a lot here and there. But it felt right. And especially when him and Fujitora goes at it. And he talks about how he will never go through that again. And it shows him in a panel finding out about Ace. And he said, no matter what, we're brothers. And whenever he calls me, I mean, it's such a good scene. Whenever Luffy calls me, I'll be there. No matter my position, I'm there. It was kind of like a little piece of Ace, you know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of that little bit, and man, I hope he sticks around for a lot longer than this arc. And I have a feeling he will, because, like, Oda's already done the gut punch with Ace. I don't see him doubling down on that gut punch. That'd be kind of weird. I just don't want to go through it again. I'm going to be honest with you. Like, Oda, do your thing. You're a master storyteller. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but I don't want to go through it again. Like, I'm good. I've done it. I don't want to do it again. So with Doflamingo's plans ruined, he does a birdcage over the city. And he basically says, here's the thing. You're all going to kill each other, or everyone's going to die, or there's a way out. Take down the bounties on these 11 people. And another really good, like, action moment and emotional moment is all these people that were praising Ussopp. He's our savior, he saved us, all this. Turn on him. I mean, that shows you how fickle people are. They're like, oh, hold on. We're all gonna die? Or just these people? I know we were just praising you, but we're gonna have to take you out. It was a really good story beat in this really, really action-packed volume. So then becomes all of the Straw Hats and even people. Kelly comes back to help him out. Like, even all these people, King Riku, everyone starts kind of siding with the Straw Hats or siding against the Straw Hats. And it's all this race to get to Doflamingo. And, oh, another great part I just remembered. Luffy runs into Musi. The cow is, he's back. The bull cow thing is back. They have a great reunion, and it's fantastic. So Luffy's racing to get to Doflamingo, and another great moment with Law. Because Luffy still says, hey, Law? Traffy? He's part of our crew still. He's like, no, I'm not. The alliance is over. And he has the handcuffs that cannot get unlocked. Doflamingo, I think, has the key by the end of it, it looks like. But the great part is, Luffy is going through all of these stages and all of these, like, action moments. Law's just chilling. Just hanging out on Musi. And he can't do anything. And his face in some of the panels, if I can find them, I'll put them up. They are some of the funniest things because he is just unbothered. Like, he's bothered by it, but his face is just like, yeah. Here we are again. I get tangled up with these Straw Hats, and this is what I'm doing. Like, it's just little bits and pieces in the backup panels of just Law's face on Musi that is so good and so funny to me. I love that about Luffy and Law's relationship. They have a... How I feel about Sanji and Zoro is how I feel about Luffy and Law. Like, they're so polar opposites that them together is so fun to read and I'm sure watch in the anime. And another great moment in this volume, which is filled with so many good ones, is Luffy, Law, and Musi get basically pulled into a trap by Doflamingo. And they're saved by, I can't remember the characters' names off the top of my head. And Luffy asks them, like, hey, where's everybody else? Because they're all trying to get to the 4th step. And he actually has to meet Nico Robin. Because they actually have the key. I just double checked. I said earlier that I think Doflamingo has the key. But he does. The final panel, I'll put it right here. It looks like he's holding a key when he's talking about him and Law's past. So that's where I'm a little confused about. Maybe the next volume will answer that. But they are all trying to get to the flower fields, which is on the 4th step, which is near Doflamingo. And Luffy has them all. And then he just makes his own shortcut by elephant gunning up the steps. Classic moment. It was... I just feel like I've turned on this camera and I'm like, this volume is so good. Do you guys know? Volume 75. Very good. Very good. Which is such a weird trajectory. Just a few minutes ago, you were watching me be like, 74, it's alright. It's okay. Now I'm back. 75, yes! 100%. Before I talk about the final thing that I really want to talk about in this volume, we'll just kind of tell you where we leave everybody. Because I feel like everybody's in different spots going for the same goal, which is Doflimingo. Luffy and Law are basically trying to meet Nico Robin to get the key to unlock his handcuffs to face Doflimingo on the 4th step in the flower fields. Zoro is facing Pika, which let me tell you, when they do a panel of him and he's like, listen, you know, my captain has bigger fish to fry, I guess you're just going to have to make do with me. Oh! And to watch him block a big sword, Zoro is fearless. I cannot wait to see that battle play out. Hopefully in the next volume. Another battle I absolutely cannot wait for is Sabo versus Fujitora. Man, those two going at it is going to be incredible. Incredible! Those two are going to be so fun to watch. If that's not in the next volume, I am going to be very, very sad. And Frankie is facing Senor Pink. But the last thing I really need to talk about this volume, and I touched on it a little bit, but I just really want to go into it. We learn more about Law and Doflimingo's relationship. And Law says he killed somebody I loved. His brother. Like, I think he was saying Doflimingo's brother. And then Doflimingo talks about how when he was a kid, he thought in 10 years he could be his right hand. And then it does a little flashback. The final panel is like, I guess Doflimingo strapped some stuff to him to get an audience with him, and it's kind of showing their first meeting, which I think volume 76 is going to go into. I think, and I again haven't read the volume yet, I'm going to read it right now because I went from 74 to be like 74 really slowed me down to do this video. I'm just going to be completely honest, transparency with you guys. Like, volume 74 definitely slowed down this video getting out, and I apologize for that. But only Oda can take that, and then in the next volume, I am so incredibly hyped to start volume 76. And I am so incredibly excited to learn about Law and Doflimingo's past, because he has laid breadcrumbs that I think it's going to be a great time. And a great story. And a great thing for Law, who I hope is a character that sticks around. I hope Sabo sticks around. At this point, even, like, Kyros, the King and Rebecca, you know, they are definitely characters, I think, just for this arc. Kyros, I think, is just for this arc, but I want him to be longer. But Sabo and Law definitely have staying power in this crew. So, I think it's our time to finally learn about his past and make us... He's already been a great character. One of my favorite characters in One Piece right now, for sure. No holds bar none. And I think it's going to make us care about it even more to learn about his past. And I'm so excited to start volume 76. So it's going to be a little bit of time for me. I'm going to read it right now. But for you guys, it's going to be like 2 seconds. So I'll see you at volume 76. Did you know that there was more to the Straw Hats than just Luffy? That was such a great line by Zoro. Because when he does the 1,080-pound Phoenix against Pika, such a cool scene. And I think people kind of forget that, especially if you haven't read One Piece, which if you're watching this video and you haven't at least read a little bit of One Piece, I think you're lost on YouTube. I clearly, you know, go back, watch the rest of them. But no, because Luffy, and they even say this in the same chapter, Luffy is the trump card when it comes to the Straw Hats. Nico Robin says that. And while I think he is the trump card, I think he is the character that pushes the Straw Hats forward, and he is always rises to the occasion. The other Straw Hats as well do that. Ussopp does that in this volume. Oh, God, Ussopp. Oh, listen, I'm going all over the place. Let's focus up. But Luffy is the trump card, and he is the one that pushes everybody to be better. I mean, they've said it before, he is the captain. And Nico Robin says it in this volume. Bartolomeo says it because he actually is just like, Luffy. Luffy thanks him for something. He's like, hey, no, thank you for being born. But just because that their captain is worth the sacrifice and worth their lives doesn't mean that the other Straw Hats don't rise to the occasion. And I think, again, Zoro showed it here. Multiple Straw Hats have shown it multiple different times, but like Zoro showed it in this volume, and so did Usopp. Usopp is the MVP of this little arc right here, in my opinion. God, Usopp. Like, his character is finally getting some recognition, and it is so awesome to see. And another character that kind of gets some closure to their arc, in my opinion, is Rebecca. She's finally reunited with her father, Kyros. I know I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Kyros. Listen, if you're hearing this, you're a fictional character, so you're not hearing this. But stick around for a good long time. That would be, I like you. You're a great character. So if you hear this, let me know in the comments down below. But yeah, that emotional payoff where Rebecca thinks back to the soldier and her father and her mother after reuniting with Kyros, it really, to me, felt like that story reached its end. And while that story reached its end, another story is just beginning, and it's finally the moment I've been waiting for since the beginning of this arc. Law is finally set free from the handcuffs, and Luffy and him are on their way to confront Doflimingo. I have been waiting for this. I've been needing this with this volume. But on their way, they get stopped by Sugar. But little did she know, the Sniper King, Soge King, was ready. So he uses Violet's third eye where she can kind of see, and she gives him directions. And the king is telling all his men to protect Usopp at all times. And something crazy happens. Usopp can sense spirit energy? What? Is that a devil fruit power? Is he a devil fruit user? I mean, you guys know probably at this point, but I don't know. And because he's kind of lining up the shots, he's got his giant slingshot. And just Usopp having his moments to shine in this arc has been so rewarding. Because he does get, like, kind of shoved to the side a lot of times. He is the comic relief character. He is the character that's like, I want to run away. And they played with that with the God Usopp thing earlier in the volumes. But this time he lined it up and he said, I cannot miss. And he doesn't. And he doesn't shoot Sugar, because, nah, that's too normal. It's too normal for Usopp. He launches it, and he's got a bunch of projectile stars, and it's shooting through the sky. And it's his doll face, and he scares her again to where she passes out. She really does not like long noses now. Usopp better watch his back, because she is going to be mad when she wakes up. That is one of my favorite moments of this arc, is his slingshot and him getting to see spirit energy. And that added a thing to his character that I really want to know more about. Because all of a sudden, he can sense people's spirits. We learned nothing more about it in this volume, but I'm very interested to learn more. And after Usopp's shining moment, Luffy and Law finally confront Doflimingo. And Bellamy is there kind of on the ground. And he wants to be killed by Doflimingo because he is so trapped in this idolizing Doflimingo and want to be part of his crew that he's just like, just kill me. And Luffy gets mad and tries to kick Doflimingo, but then Doflimingo... It's so sad for Bellamy. He has been treated so terribly in this arc. But he pulls him up and then gets kicked in the face. And Luffy's like, oh no, I'm sorry! That was pretty good. But while I think the confrontation is going to happen next volume, we learn about both Doflimingo and Law's backstory. I've been waiting for this. And it does not disappoint. And both of their stories... incredibly dark. So Doflimingo used to be a celestial dragon. I am pretty sure this is the first we are hearing about it. Because this is definitely one of the first times we're hearing about it. He killed his own father to get back into the celestial dragons. That man has lived a life. And when they show his backstory, so basically his father and mother, which were celestial dragons, his father kind of decides that humans are just like us. And with that, the celestial dragons kind of cast him out, and he turns his back on everybody, and they go live with the humans. The problem with that is then they start living in like poverty, and you know, they were so used to the high and mighty, the best of the best, the bougie, if you will. And they went from that, you see panels of like Doflimingo and his brother Corazon. We will get to him in a moment, because I think he's going to be a big character. They're eating from trash cans. They are at poverty, poor. It is the polar opposite of what they left with the celestial dragons. And I think Doflimingo blames his father for that. And I definitely think he blames his father for his mother getting sick and dying. And the bad part is because everyone knew they were celestial dragons, the humans don't even accept him. The celestial dragons don't accept him anymore. So they are legitimately alone as a family. And he has this flashback where it looks like he is hung up from a building or a wall and blindfolded. And I think there's like dead people next to him lined up, because it's basically hate. It's a mob of hate. And while yes, he is a conniving, manipulative character, Oda adding this backstory kind of makes you feel for the guy. Kind of made me feel for the guy. And I think his backstory is going to be more further expanded upon, because then we jump into Law's backstory, and boy, that kid has some issues. So Law grew up in a city where people were infected, where their skin would turn white, their hair would turn white, and they would die. The bad part about that is everyone thought it was contagious, and it wasn't. Everyone's like, you should tell them it's not contagious, but instead they walled off that whole city. You know, and the last time we saw Law, when he was 10 years old, he was talking with Doflimingo, and Doflimingo was like, I'm going to train you to be like my right hand. So now we get that backstory of why he got there. And it is incredibly sad. Incredibly sad. They've walled off his entire city. No one will come and help them, and everyone thinks they're contagious. So they start basically having guards set up around, so if they try to escape, they kill them. And again, I already really liked Law as a character, and for Oda to give him a very complex, is the word I'm going to use, backstory makes you like that character, makes me like that character even more. Because we haven't even gotten to, the sister comes there with a bunch of kids and is like, Law, you gotta come with us. And Law's like, I can't, my sister is really sick, she needs me. Kind of goes back inside, and he's talking with his sister. It's like, it's a festival outside. She's like, what's those loud noises? And the sister and all the kids were shot down. I don't know. Just the idea of, instead of the government or the Marines or any of those people helping anyone, they have walled them off. They have a problem. We don't want it to be our problem. Like, that's why I really liked, and that's why I kept saying, and I'm so glad it's kind of paying off, I feel like Doflimingo and Law are so intertwined. Even having their backstories basically back-to-back intertwined, and showing that very similar backstories about having to scrounge for food and basically having to survive with themselves, and everyone turning their back on them. Now, while I'll say Law is not the most stand-up guy, it shows how much worse it could have turned out for Law as a character. He could have easily been Doflimingo. I don't think Doflimingo could have been Law. I think he was really destined to be this way, which is kind of sad. But to make it intertwine even more, we get Law's story coming up through the Doflimingo family. So Law joins Doflimingo's crew, and we actually find out that he is going to die. He has about 3 years. And Doflimingo says, well, maybe you don't. And we learn more about the op fruit. And it actually has the ability to do a surgery to grant immortality at the cost of the life of the devil fruit user. Law's devil fruit is very strong. It could give somebody immortality. That's crazy. And I bet it come to find out when he gets the devil fruit. I bet that's how they cure him of the white cell disease that his people from his town that he grew up on had. And he has. Because, and this is where Dofi's younger brother, who's a klutz and kind of doesn't talk. They're like, something happened to him, he doesn't talk anymore. That's very key. That's very key for what's about to come up at the end of this volume. So he doesn't talk anymore, and Law tries to stab him when he's sitting in his seat. And then it kind of gets found out, and it gets called to Doflimingo. But he thought Corazon turned him over. But Doflimingo asks, like, how'd you get that scar on your chest? He's like, enemy. He just wrote it on a piece of paper. He said, enemy. He didn't rat him out. So when it jumps a few years into the future, because he's kind of been going through the Doflimingo family, 2 of the kids that he kind of is growing with, I don't think they have said their names. They kind of look familiar, though. Maybe we've seen them before. Maybe I've seen them before. Let me know in the comments down below. But they ask, what's your real name? He's like, I don't really do my real name. But they finally tell him, Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. And he gets taken to the side by Corazon. And this is where the volume ends, and I have so many questions. Corazon talks. Says, with that D, you need to get away from Doflimingo. First off, the phrasing could have been better. But anyway. But again, because we have Monkey D. Luffy, Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. Ace had D in his title. And I know there is the Will of D. We have heard about this before. I believe. I know I've heard of it before. I'm pretty sure I've read it in the volumes, because again, if you've been following this video series, you know I do not search One Piece on the internet unless it's for the images that I show in this video, and I search by arc because in the beginning of this series I was dodging mines left and right. So I'm pretty sure it was in certain volumes. Is Oda going to try to connect Law, Monkey D. Luffy, and Ace and all of them? Are they all family? Or is it like a surname? You know what I mean? Not a surname. What's like just kind of a thing somebody has. It doesn't mean they're actually blood related, but it's just kind of like, you know how Sabo, Ace, and Luffy are brothers. But are they brothers? You know? Blood-wise. So, Trafalgar D. Waterlaw. That's all I'm saying. Corazon can talk. And he's trying now to protect Law, which is crazy. Because Law tried to kill him. This volume was so fun. It answered a bunch of questions, but as Oda normally does, it posed a bunch of other questions. And like you guys said in the comments of my last video, we're going to 468. So we have 5 more chapters. So it's going to be half the next volume. I really hope you guys left me on a cliffhanger, didn't you? I already know. You left me on a cliffhanger. You guys. But yeah, let's go read 5 chapters of One Piece and see where we leave off on this video. So many answers, but yet so many more questions. So Law is just the best character in One Piece, right? Like, right? I'm not crazy, right? So in volume 77, I read from chapter 764 to 768. So have not read chapter 769. Just to kind of tell you where I'm at and where this video is going to end. You guys picked a perfect spot to end because we basically finished up Law's backstory and we got a little bit at chapter 768 of present day. His backstory. If I did not do these videos where I just read the volume and then turn on this camera and go, I would be wearing a Law hat right now. I would go to Amazon, I would purchase a Trafalgar Law D. Waterlaw hat. I would have that hat. That's all I'm saying. It was so good. So basically Corazon, because I'm going to be honest with you, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his actual name, because we know I don't pronounce names well. But here's the thing. Okay, so before we get into kind of the end of the volume and the end of the video, right? Law is captain of the Heart Pirates. Corazon means heart. The name of his pirates was an homage to Dofi's brother, who basically saved his life. That was so incredible. Ah! I loved it. So to finish Law's backstory, him and Corazon, or Cora, because they ended up really caring about each other, and they got nicknames for each other. Cora. Not for each other, he has one for him. He takes Law to go see if they can cure him of his disease. In the meantime, Doflimingo notices that the Marines are not on his tail as much. Because, come to find out, Cora was a Navy man. And he was selling out his brother for the Navy. Because Doflimingo killed their father. Like, got him in the back of the head killed. He basically says, my brother was born evil. And I want to be able to stop the evil that he puts into the world. And another thing, when they went to the hospitals, and everyone was like, oh, you're from that city? Oh, get out of here, you're going to contaminate everybody. Cora would just end up taking out the hospital. And throughout them trying to find a cure for Law, they end up bonding. And even one time when Law is sleeping, Cora leans over his sleeping body, which is a little strange, but he's kind of just talking to him and saying stuff that he can't say when Law's awake, and says, I know when you stabbed me, it was your pain that you were stabbing at. or that you were angry at. But Law hears him. As any good fiction usually does, he can hear him when he's saying these things, and they form this bond. This bond is quickly taken away from Law. Like everything in his life, man cannot catch a break. Doflimingo tells him that they have a lead on the op fruit, which we already know that Law takes, but we find out how he gets it. Through a transponder snail, Doflimingo talks to his brother and says, kind of meet us here. It's been 6 months since you have taken Law to try to get healed. We got this fruit. We can save him. But Cora knows it's a setup. He's like, oh, my brother has probably figured out that the Marines have not been on their back, and he knows that I've been betraying him. But we need to take this fruit from him to give it to you to save your life. Because I already have the devil fruit where he can silence everything. I think it's like the sound fruit, maybe, is the name of it. So he gets in touch with Sengoku, the Admiral, because again, he's a Navy man. He kind of tells him, hey, all this stuff is going down. And it's kind of fun because we also see Virgo basically getting with Shingoku to become where we met him at in Punk Hazard. Like, it's one of those things that Dressrosa is kind of connected with Punk Hazard, where we get to kind of find, like, oh, there's Virgo, that's how he got to where he got to and all that. But Law gets the op fruit, Doflimingo does his birdcage, and him and his brother have a confrontation. Is it a confrontation? Cora is leaned up against a treasure chest that Law is hiding in. Now, he's kind of silenced him with his power. Doflimingo, they have their confrontation, they're talking about it. Cora pulls out a gun. And Doflimingo says, you're really going to make me kill a family member, not once, but twice. And Cora can't pull the trigger. Doflimingo kills him. Well, he's holding on. Because his whole plan was for Law to hide in this treasure chest. And he can't be heard because of Cora's devil fruit power. So he can't die until he feels like Law has made his escape. Because then people would be able to hear him. And this is the heartbreaking moment. And one of the best moments in this stretch of volumes, by far, bar none. He's holding on, and he's like, Law, I just gotta hold on for a little bit longer until you escape. And Law is crying and wailing, and they take the treasure chest because pirates always take it back to the ship. Law gets out of the treasure chest, he's walking through, and he's wailing, he's crying. Cora doesn't make it, but makes it long enough for Law to escape. And the final chapter that we read made Law one of the best characters in One Piece right now. It goes through all the battles that happened. Pika, Zoro, and Doflimingo and Law, right? There's all these battles that are happening. And Law is battling Doflimingo. And he tells him, Cora couldn't pull the trigger. I'll be the one that pulls the trigger for him. All these years later. Oh, what a way to end a chapter and kind of a part to end this video. And that made me so incredibly hyped for the following bits of One Piece. Because like I said, in this video if you watch it, like, these stretch of volumes, I gotta be honest with you guys, it had some hype moments. Ussopp having his moment to shine. Law and Doflimingo's backstory. But it might have been like the first volume, volume 74. It was just hard for me to latch onto because, like I said, it feels like it was setting up a bunch of pieces and kind of crafting this story. And like any good story, for me at least, feels like the climax and the ultimate is happening now. And that's the most hyped part in a lot of stories. Or the most fulfilling part, because you have read this story and watched these pieces being moved around. But now it's all coming together. And that's what I loved about this last little bit, that it got me so hooked for more One Piece. And it gave a backstory to a character that was already so interesting and made him skyrocket, in my opinion, to be way more interesting. Like I said, I would have the hat. I would have this hat right now. Don't worry. I'm looking on Amazon after I get done filming this video. It's on the way. But yes, I am so happy that Ussopp got to shine in this arc, and I'm so happy that we finally learned so much more about Law. And I am so happy, because I feel like I've been saying it for like 2 or 3 videos now. Law and Doflimingo deserve to have their battle, and it looks like we are finally going to get it in this volume, or maybe the next volume. Very soon, and I'm very, very excited about it. But I feel like the biggest question that I am left with is, what is the thing about the D? Phrasing. A little rough, but you know what I mean. Come on, get your mind out of the gutter. Be better than that. And what's the battle going to look like between Law and Doflimingo? But yes, that is where I was told to cut it off, and I think it was a perfect ending. It answered a bunch of questions and left me needing more and needing to read the next bit of One Piece. He did an homage. The Heart Pirates was an homage to Korra. Ugh. Law, my favorite character in One Piece. Immediate gut reaction after reading this volume. But yes, hopefully you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you so much for watching to the end of the video and supporting my journey through One Piece. You guys are always amazing in the comments down below and talking with you guys, because even when I'm not loving what One Piece is doing, you guys make me love One Piece even more. Even if I'm like kind of lukewarm on it, talking with you guys in the comments, I'm like, no, hold on a minute. One Piece, greatest manga of all time? Like, probably. Definitely. Kind of no question. But yes, thank you for watching the video. Thank you for coming with me on the journey through One Piece, and I cannot wait to continue reading Law and Doflimingo. Well, I just read it, and I can't stop smiling. But anyway, for the 27th time, thank you for watching. Let's talk in the comments down below. I'll see you next time.